week on Africa Health Check.
Here in Africa, for us, we appreciate the role played by our traditional medicine, is herbs.
I think traditional medicines are much better than the modern medicines.
We delve into the world of traditional medicine.
The traditional medicine is our healing system, which is part of our culture.
And discuss its advancements towards complementing modern medicine. Hello and welcome to Africa Health Check, where we reflect on the health status of Africa. I am your host, Paladi. On today's episode, we will be talking about traditional medicine and its complementarity to modern medicine. To help me unpack this, we have a special panelist who will be sharing her insights, Dr. Esther Katura, who's a senior researcher at Makerere University in Uganda. We also have our usual commentators, Dr. Marianne Moreithi, who's the current chair of the Department of Medical Microbiology and Immunology and a senior research fellow at the University of Nairobi in Kenya, as well as Reverend Anthony Achampong, a pastor and a pharmacist from Ghana. Before we hear from our panel, let us have a look at this week's feature.
I am pharmacist Zainab Ujudi Sharif. I'm a director with the Federal Ministry of Health in charge of traditional, complementary and alternative medicine. I've been in this field for almost 20 years. I have done a lot of research in this field. I am author of over 12 publications in this field. I am very proud to understand the system of our healings of our people, which will help to improve the healthcare system. What is important for we to note as Africans, that traditional medicine is our healing system, which is part of our culture, where we, in our cultural way of trying to treat, diagnose, prevent diseases using our own traditional methods. Even if you recognize that WHO has recognized traditional medicine as one of the health systems that should be encouraged. If you notice, the global statistics, even recognized by WHO, is that about 80% of the people that live in rural areas access traditional medicine as their primary healthcare needs. If you say that 80% access the traditional medicine, that means very few people have access to orthodox medicine. So a lot of our people use it because it's part of their culture. And if you come to my country, Nigeria, a lot of people that live in the rural areas, the first point of call is the traditional medicine healer. I would want to say that from my research and from my findings, I look at it first from colonial mentality. You know, we were taught by our colonial masters that orthodox medicine is the right medicine. So we tend to forget our own cultural and traditional medicine. But traditional medicine looks at using the plant holistically. They believe that that plant contains the healing properties. So they believe you have to use it holistically. That is why you see that our grandparents will say, take as much as you desire. But with the modern science and for people like us who have gone into the field, we have gradually been able to dose. I'm very happy to say that our parents were the traditional scientists. But we now, the modern scientists, we need to look at the traditional scientists, merge it together and come up with something that is better. So we upgrade it, we update it. Just like in every aspect of technology, science is making things better with standards and procedures. And this is what we are doing. And I want to recognize that Africa is doing a lot to improve our medicine. The three healing systems WHO recognizes once again: traditional medicine, orthodox medicine, complementary medicine. The three must go together. The three must be recognized because traditional medicine in your community or in your country not only look at the healthcare system, it generates revenue, it creates job. What do I mean by that? All the plants that we need will grow more. Is that not creating job for the youths? Or you are growing more medicinal plants? Even women empowerment. My first 3 publications came up in 2001. I had 3 books called, number 1, Modern Common Medicinal, Common Herbal Remedies for Common Ailments, okay? Modern Herbal Therapy for Common Ailments. That is one of my books, which was published in 2001. And I had another one called Family First Aid Kit. And I also have the third one called Herbal Pediatrics. a book for mothers. I also launched revised edition of those books. And those books came up, we now call them common medicinal plants in Nigeria. I was able to harness and talk about our own plants that we have in Nigeria because I wanted to promote Nigerian medicine. So what I'm saying in a nutshell, traditional medicine, harnessing the potentials of it for the benefit of our health system, for the benefit of creating jobs, for the benefit of even improving. God has blessed us with arable land, for the benefit of boosting the agricultural, what we call commercial cultivation. It will boost. Africa is blessed with more organic things than any part of the world. I want us to stimulate small and medium cultivation of these medicinal plants so that we'll be able to expand the scope and the lucrativeness in these medicinal plants, the economic aspect, the health aspect, the national development goals, and the job creation goals, and the foreign exchange earner.
Such a very inspiring and thought-provoking feature story for this very, very interesting topic that is highly contentious in Africa, which is about traditional medicine or traditional African medicine and how it fits in or complements modern-day medicine. I want us to first start by welcoming Dr. Esther. Dr. Esther, thank you so much for finding time to join us. Maybe let us start here. Maybe you could tell us who you are, where you're from, and what is it that you do?
Gigi, I'm senior lecturer by profession and current sitting chair to the department. And I train students in biosystematics and natural product research and development. I also
Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Esther. Maybe you could just share very briefly a little bit of your history or background on how you ended up in the current career that you are in. Any triggers, inspirational story, maybe from your childhood? How did we end up here?
Well, I did a Bachelor of Science degree in biology. Then I did a master's in biosystematics and a PhD in natural product research and development. Was triggered into that line, should I say by fate? Mainly by fate, because by then we wouldn't choose choices at A level, but if you performed well, you were given physics, chemistry, biology, and I was given that option, and we wouldn't choose so much on the course you're going to do at university. It's the grade that would lead you into a certain course, and I ended up doing biology and chemistry. And by the end of my undergraduate, I liked the plants and I did them, but the chemistry knowledge later helped me to love and to want to know what is the active ingredient in those plants. And through mentors and through what I would see and reading literature, I ended up where I am.
Really powerful story. I'm sure you are an inspiration to a lot of young girls and young women in Uganda, Dr. Esther. On this episode, we want to focus on traditional medicine and its complementarity to modern day medicine. But I want you to lay the foundation for us. You know, when we talk about traditional medicine, some people are already thinking about witchcraft and all kinds of other wild ideas. Maybe you can just lay the foundation of when we say traditional medicine, what are we referring to?
Traditional medicine is a broad field. Traditional medicine is a kind of system that is holistic in nature, with spiritualism, with divination, with the natural treatment using herbs and maybe animals and other ingredients that are naturally sourced, and the practices of the people, the traditional, local, or indigenous people, guided to building that knowledge and treating diseases in their environs. I am more conversant with the use of plant medicine, and that's where I have concentrated to find evidence against the claims according to World Health Organization guidelines to validate the claims. Are these herbs safe? Are these herbs efficacious? What is the quality of these herbs? And you find that there's a whole host of interesting evidence and benefits that herbal medicine as part of traditional medicine brings to the.
Absolutely. From your experience as a researcher in academia and the passion you've developed for herbs, what would you say have been some of the biggest highlights and discoveries in your line of work that you'd like to share while you're doing research about traditional medicine, herbs, herbal medication versus modern medicine and the complementarity? What would you say have been those moments where you were just like, wow, this is incredible and I wish people knew about this?
Most of that is hidden. Most people who use herbs actually don't come out to test and to prove that herbs have healed them. We actually even depend on perceived efficacy when people are telling you, yeah, I did this, it helped me, and there it helped me. We don't have systems that would diagnose or test or qualify efficacy in humans in herbal medicine. We are following the Western system and standards and protocols. And these leave out a lot because a herb is whole. It has so many components and these all contribute to healing. And there are also many standard drugs, quinine, name them, that have been developed from plant sources as templates. And that's a big contribution to the medical world. Others are still ongoing. There are those which have been synthesized based on the templates of natural drugs, say chloroquine, and it's a long journey that we are yet to complete as we join hands. I think there are many highlights we shall bring on board.
I'm gonna go to Reverend Anthony Achampong. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear African medicine or traditional medicine?
The first thing that comes to my mind, remind you, Chichi, I'm a pharmacist, was trained and especially did phytochemistry, pharmacognosy, that has to do with how to extract medicinal properties from plants, and various other things. So to me, there is an ambivalence. I am in the middle of two worlds. And what do I mean? What I mean is that, and let me make this open observation, that there seems to be an ongoing bad blood or distrust between the modern biochemically trained healthcare practitioners, i.e. the doctors, the nurses, the pharmacists, the radiologists, and the traditional medicine practitioners, the native doctors, the faith healers, and so on and so forth. Our point of discussion is how best can we integrate the modern medical practice with the existing historic ancient thing that has been bequeathed to us to this day. because of distrust. I don't want to call it standoff or mass slinging. I will prefer to say that there is a distrust. People, we don't believe each other. That is what is hampering standardization, hampering integration, hampering cooperation from both sides, and more so because the modern medicinal practitioners are questioning a dosaging. How do you take a whole bunch of leaves and then derive a potion out of them? How much is enough to elicit a therapeutic effect in a subject?
Absolutely agree with you, Reverend. It's about integration. I'm going to go to Dr. Mary Ann. If you could maybe just also share your reflections on African medicine or traditional medicine.
I very much, surprisingly, very much believe in traditional medicine. Actually, not just believe. I believe if we can integrate both traditional and modern medicine, I believe we can go very far in not just getting control of some ailments, but actually eliminating them. And I'll give you an example. Many years ago, before antibiotics were discovered, they were treating diseases and people were recovering. For example, tuberculosis. Tuberculosis has been reported for many centuries. And what they used to do was actually using the sun therapy, something with vitamin D, and also they were steaming some herbs, giving some herbal medicine, and people were recovering. Yes, there were many deaths, but people were recovering. So my idea or my thoughts are, can we harness that knowledge, maybe extract some of this plant material, go to the lab, because now we have the capability, look at the chemical formula or the formulas within those plant extracts, and then can we use them together or in combination with modern medicine? And with that, I hope we can then get ahead of what we're now calling as antimicrobial resistance. Bacteria now can resist antibiotics. But what if we added some of these plant extracts, some of these traditional methodologies, can we get ahead of the bacteria and be able to eliminate it in one go using both traditional and modern medicine? That's a school of thought. We have some people within our setting, within our department, actually really investigating plant extracts and traditional medicine that can then be incorporated in modern medicine. So the future is bright, and I'm quite excited about that.
Absolutely agree with you on that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come back from the other side of this break. But for now, it's time for us to hear what people on the street had to say.
I believe that every green plant that has been provided unto us has a function in our body, and from which other medicines that have been made for us are made from. So I think I'm positive that herbal medicine is important as well.
Traditional medicine sahi haziaminiki sana juu unajua sasa hivi tumeadvance, kuna zingine unaweza kunywa zikuharibikie. Sasa hivi tumeadvance kwa medicine.
I take traditional medicine myself. I've been treating typhoid for the past, how many years? 3 or 4 years. But somebody introduced me to a traditional medication, which I took. And I can tell you that since last year, I've not had any symptom of typhoid. I've tasted negative and I'm doing very well. So I think traditional medicines are good.
And that is our word on the street for this episode. Remember, we are talking about African medicine or traditional medicine and its complementarity to modern medicine. And we're with Dr. Esther, who's been sharing her insights. And I'm going to go back to you, Dr. Esther, before you give your final parting shot. I want to discuss this very controversial and sensitive issue about how we tend to undermine or have less faith in traditional medicine. Why is that, and how can we counter that? Because you've been talking about the benefits, the milestones that have been achieved through the usage of traditional medicine, but why do we still have this negative perception, and how do we change it?
I wouldn't say that we have negative perceptions. I would say that we have different systems. We have the allopathic system, we have that traditional system of treatment, and they are separate. So it depends on who is interpreting the other. But to the Africans, they don't have negative feelings about herbal medicines. As you stated in the beginning, 80% of the Africans use traditional medicine in one way or another. That means they actually believe in traditional medicine. However, traditional medicine has negatives. Most of these herbs, we use them without testing their safety. Some are not as safe as we think that they are, although some are safe for use.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Esther. I'm going to give you a chance to give your parting shot. And in just a minute, I'd like you to speak to how to enhance the research and development capacity in Africa to ensure that this complementarity of African or traditional medicine and modern medicine is done, it's homegrown, is domesticated. How do we enhance that capacity?
Right. Thank you, Gigi. As I was completing, I would say that, antagonism, they are drug antagonism, but they are also synergies. So the evidence, research and evidence is important in ironing out the good from the bad. For your question right now, I would say there's no better way than we are doing now, more than collaborating. African countries, we need to collaborate, share experiences, do research together, develop technologies on these hubs, and provide evidence.
Absolutely agree with you. It's about complementarity and finding ways that these systems can work in our best interest, as opposed to sort of pinning them against each other to say which one is superior to the other. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to go to Dr. Marian. Your reflections, on traditional medicine and particularly its complementarity to modern medicine, speaking from your perspective as an African, but also as a medical practitioner.
As I've said, I am quite a strong believer of having both choices, both alternatives, both traditional complementary medicine and modern medicine for us to be able, end of the day, it's a patient. End of the day, it's a person who is suffering from an ailment or a diagnosis that is quite dire. And I believe if we cannot come on the table, and I know, for example, South Africa has a forum where both traditional healers, modern doctors, and then policymakers sit on the table and go through common ailments such as HIV, such as tuberculosis, and then they decide how best can we help our people? Because end of the day, we should not have selfish interests. I know some quarters of modern medicine who are very, very conservatory about using traditional medicine because they don't know what's in it. They don't know the formulas. Some people believe it's just totally guesswork. But I believe there's something in there. And if we all sit on the same table, come up with methodologies of maybe looking at the extracts, taking them to the lab, looking at what is the active formulation. And then with that active formulation, can it be combined to treat some ailments using modern antibiotics, modern antivirals, or even cancer chemotherapies? I believe that's the future of medicine. And one thing I need to mention in this program is now we're going to a future where we'll have personalized medicine. What is that? Medicine tailored for your own DNA, for your own genetical makeup that will have less side effects. And I believe how to get over side effects and personalized medicine is also incorporating things that nature has given us, which then are less harsh on the body. And I believe with that, we'll start talking about we have eliminated and eventually eradicated several ailments, several diseases in the world. So we need to embrace that, embrace one another, and I believe we are going to get a very bright future in medicine.
Absolutely powerful way to end off this. Thank you so much. Reverend, your parting shot. I want you to speak as a pastor, because often we tend to think that tradition and religion are in conflict, but also as a pharmacist, just your parting shot regarding this issue.
What I would say is that I will reinforce what Dr. Esther is saying is collaboration, because there is evidence of referrals from the modern medical practice and the traditional medical practice. For instance, both people with bone injuries, they refer them to the traditional practitioners who have great substances to help people. So that is what I would say. That let us come together. Let us keep the conversation going on. This is a very good subject. God has blessed Africa with so much in our flora that we can use. By the way, until modern medicine came, our forefathers have used the plants and all these things to keep our forefathers and sort of up to today. So there is no point in dismissing traditional medical practice completely. Let us find a common ground where we can reap the good benefits of the traditional medicine, as well as regulating whatever they do, so the average man benefits from both sides of the world.
So let's all sit on the table, both traditional healers, modern medicine practitioners, look at what worked, what did not work, and then capitalize on what worked and what is working, because again, there's still many people who use traditional medicine, herbs and plant extracts. And with that, can we then formulate to come up with formulas that can then enhance what has worked before, maybe using modern medicine, and vice versa. We need to start talking to one another, not working in silos. And again, as this program has always talked about, teamwork, collaboration, using technology, and now we have so much we can use and harness in modern medicine that can then enhance and make even better the traditional medicine. So again, I always say the future is bright, the future is African, and I hope that we can all come together on the table and make the lives of our people better.
Absolutely agree with you on that. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Dr. Esther, for taking time to share your expertise and weigh in on the subject, as well as Reverend Anthony Achampong, as well as Dr. Mary Ann, for sharing your insights on this issue. I think in summation, we're basically saying that we need to demystify this narrative that it's a traditional medicine versus modern medicine. It's about finding common ground. It's about finding complementarity. There are both positives and negatives from either side, but ultimately what we should be looking for is how do we develop hybrids out of these models? How do we derive benefits from that? How do we embrace modernity at the same time, not throwing out or dismissing our indigenous knowledge systems? And that is what we were discussing today. I hope it has been as empowering for you as it has been for me. This is Africa Health Check. Remember to connect with us on our social media platforms. We would love to hear from you. Until we meet again, same time, same place, same date. Remember that the future is Africa, the future is today.